Hi, it's Mike Stevenson here. In this video, we're going to take a look at encoding or testing the encoding of a message in the logic app. So in this case, I've got a helper logic app here, which will just open up in the designer. And what this allows me to do is I'm going to call it over HTTP. I'm going to specify the name of a schema here, and then I'm going to use the flat file encoder to take the body that I've sent to the workflow, use that schema, and I'm going to encode it and then return back in the response here. I'm going to return back the message. So in the case that I'm going to use this schema, I'm going to take an XML file and I'm going to create a flat file from it, and the test's really aimed at validating that schema works correctly. So over in my acceptance tests here, in the schema's ship instruction flat file, I've got this test that we're going to take a look through in a minute. And the idea is that I take this XML, which was produced, if you saw my previous video about my map, this is the output from the map. So I get this XML message here, and I'm going to use the flat file schema, which is in the artifacts here. So I've got this sort of BizTalk-like XSD that describes a flat file saved in my logic app, and it's going to create this message, and the output should look like this when it's done. So this is a kind of fairly traditional style delimited file here, and it's got multiple segments to it, so pretty complicated file. And what the test is, so we're going to because we've got that helper logic app that does the encode for us, we can read the input in the expected file. We create the logic app test manager here using the workflow name that we want to run. We then do a post here to the logic app. We're telling it the name of the schema file, and then we've passed in the XML message, and then we just check it got a successful response. And then here we just compare the content we expect versus the actual response. So that would have called out to us here, ran the encoder, check the message that came back. Now, what you could do if you wanted to run this in the unit test project that we have, where it's running locally against the workflow, running in your functions runtime on your local machine, you could do that using the other flavor of the logic app test framework, where you can run it in that local environment. So it's basically the same principle, you're just running it in a slightly different way. But hopefully that shows you how easy it is that you can check your schema on its own before you use it inside a more complicated workflow. Thanks for listening.